Good morning. This is KELOLAND on the go with all you need to know in news and weather as you start your day.
In Pierre, lawmakers have passed a bill making state IDs free for low-income residents in South Dakota. About 100,000 South Dakotans with incomes below the federal poverty line qualify for the free ID card that looks very similar to a driver's license.
South Dakota ID cards cost $28. People who work with the homeless community say this is a game changer.
It is a win for everyone in South Dakota. This is great because when we can get people back to work as quickly as possible, this helps all of our businesses on Main Street. When we have people sitting in a shelter that can't do anything because they don't have an ID and they don't have the $28 to get the ID or the $15 to get that birth certificate, they're just wasting time.
Lawmakers from both parties thought it was a good idea and sent the bill on to Governor Kristi Noem's desk, who signed it this week. Governor Kristi Noem is being scrutinized, but not for her political beliefs.
After appearing at a Trump rally in Ohio and a New York Times article that was focused on her looks, many people are hyper-focused on the governor's appearance. Unfortunately, this is a common experience among women politicians.
On my Twitter a couple of times, I've had folks who are hiding behind anonymous Twitter handles, which is very brave of them, comment on my looks and tell me that they don't care if I bring good ideas because I'm ugly.
Whitman says it was disheartening to see people talk about the governor that way and says the same thing wouldn't happen to a man. The South Dakota Supreme Court is looking at a case involving a subpoena for an alleged rape victim's diaries.
The alleged victim in the case had sought to stifle that subpoena. A circuit court turned down the alleged victim's motion.
And if you look at the filing of the petitions for intermediate appeal, they still don't comply with the rules regarding timeliness, and they don't comply with the rules governing content of notice of appeal. And so for those reasons, I don't believe that the court has jurisdiction.
Throughout their brief, throughout this oral argument, they have not raised a constitutional right that they say is being infringed upon by them not getting access to the victim's journals.
The court will issue an opinion at a later date.
Now let's get a check of our weather with meteorologist Scott Munt. A bit of snow out there this morning, Scott.
Yeah, we've been following snow in northeastern South Dakota, Aberdeen, Watertown. I had a couple of flurries appear across, we'll say, parts of southeastern South Dakota. This will continue to move through. We've had light accumulations in the northeast, a couple of scattered slippery spots as well. This will move through. We'll have mostly cloudy skies behind it, periods of sunshine, with another round of accumulating snow this evening and tonight in northeastern South Dakota. And we may see that wintry mix across the southeast. More details on your forecast with Brian coming up.
Thank you, Scott. Well, no matter what the weekend brings for snowfall, both the Minnehaha County Highway Department and the city of Sioux Falls are ready to tackle the possible snow. Snow preps are underway with the city. Street
manager Dustin Hansen says his team will keep an eye on the forecast, and in the meantime, they'll be treating the roads by de-icing them.
So it'll plow off better. The other thing is it'll reduce the temperature of the road or raise it up, so that way we have a little bit of time before we have to react. So it kind of gives us a little bit of buffer, and you'll see some melting depending on the conditions of what comes down.
The city and Minnehaha County Highway Departments will continue their preps in the coming days. If you don't think basketball fans aren't caught up in March Madness, just stop by Grand Falls Casino in Larchwood, Iowa.
We found one man from Sioux Falls at the Betfred Sportsbook who's more than a little excited about placing some winning wagers on the NCAA tournament. Games tip off later today.
Just let me win one time. Let me win one time. I get $600. Come on, man.
Maurice Wilson is putting his money on SDSU beating Iowa State tonight, even though the Jackrabbits are heavy underdogs. He says he usually loses a majority of his sports bet, but that's all right with him if he can just get one big payoff in the end. Tip-off is set for 6:35. KELOLAND's Grant Sweeter will have coverage from Omaha on air and online throughout the day. That's a look at some of our top stories.
Now let's get one last look at your weather with meteorologist Brian Karstens. Brian?
All right, our weather forecast. Well, a lot going on with our weather the next couple of days. Of course, we've been talking about the first system today, and in the short-term forecast, we do have a winter weather advisory posted for Aberdeen, also for Webster and Sisseton. So if you're watching us in the northeastern corner of South Dakota, mainly this applies to what we're expecting tonight. We're getting some teaser bands of snow this morning, but likely this is actually going to intensify a little bit more tonight. You'll see that on Futurecast as we work our way through the day part forecast. And I do expect a pretty wide spread on temperatures today. We'll have mid-60s from Pine Ridge to Valentine, Nebraska by late afternoon. Aberdeen, it's going to hold in the 30s today. And in fact, by this evening, we'll start to fall. There's your snow. Right there it is. And also another little thing to add to that conversation is this little bit of rain tries to get going from Pierre to Rapid City this evening. And then eventually, as that spreads towards Sioux Falls, we might actually see that pick up a little bit. And do you notice that we've got both the blue and the green there in southeast Ketherland? And I'll even add this. Might even see a couple of lightning strikes in southeast Ketherland tonight. Not going to call it out as a major thing, but at least to mention that I think is probably wise. Now that should move east of our coverage area during Friday morning. And behind that, in the wake of it, we'll have a north wind. It'll be kind of a chilly day on Friday, but no significant weather. And then on Saturday, as we turn the corner on this pattern, then we'll start to saturate the air again. Let's kind of work our way through this, okay? So this starts here Friday. You can see that dry start to the weekend, but already during the day on Saturday, there should be an uptick in some moisture coming up out of Nebraska. It'll be probably some lighter snows there Saturday afternoon and possibly into Saturday night. But I really think the main story, and we've been saying this from the beginning, is starting Sunday morning and during the day on Palm Sunday, we're going to see a conveyor belt of moisture coming in from Nebraska. And as that organizes during the day, one thing I am aware of, or at least we're initially following, is the chance that we pick up some snow in southeast Ketherland before it gets warm enough to switch back over to rain. So that's one key here. We don't have those exact lines drawn in here, but if you look at the weather between Sioux City and Brookings, there's going to be a wide spread of weather on Sunday. Farther north you live, the better chance you're going to stay mostly snow here on Sunday. And by the way, the wind is starting to pick up. It's out of the east-northeast, and it's going to get really gusty getting into Sunday night and Monday. We have put out that word blizzard. I feel very confident that there will be a blizzard with this storm. The question is, how much real estate is that going to involve? If you're watching us in Brookings, into west central Minnesota, Watertown, these areas are looking very, very likely that we'll pick up at the very least here, 6 to 12. This system has the potential to produce more than a foot of snowfall across central Minnesota. So we'll be watching all of that. Obviously, folks in the west, you're not getting the bullseye in Rapid City. This system will give you some effects, but I still want to focus our attention farther east into Minnesota. That's probably where the biggest headlines will be found. Eventually, this system will work out here by Tuesday. We'll get a little break, and then guess what? We're going to get more storms after that. It's going to be a busy couple of weeks. Well, there it is on the maps. You can see the low track as shown here. We're going to have some variations on that, I'm sure. So stay tuned for Sioux Falls. I think both rain and snow. So ultimately determining just exactly how many inches of snow we're going to get is still a question out there. Here's just a sample of our wind forecast for Sunday night and Monday. And this is going up. It's now to the threshold. I wanted to throw this into the forecast just to give you a sample of 40 to 50 mile an hour winds there on Monday. So that's not going to be very pretty. We need the moisture though. And I know one good way to get that soil soaked up with some moisture is to get some heavy wet snow on top. And we'll get some of that for parts of the region. Well, 30s today in the northeast. Don't forget in the short term, you got a snow advisory, winter weather advisory for snow in the far northeast. Look at your temperature forecast. We are going to stay cold. In fact, we may not be cold enough on Tuesday. If we get the snow as forecast, I'm pretty tempted to drop us another 10 degrees in parts of eastern South Dakota. We could easily stay in the low 20s. Aberdeen, you're also in the thick of it here. You're going to get some snow in the 24-hour forecast. And then by Saturday night and Sunday, I think snow will pick up, and especially east of Aberdeen, Millbank and Watertown and Brookings really seem likely to pick up some significant weather early next week. Here in central South Dakota, we're going to tumble temperatures into the 20s. Remember, some snow chances here for Rapid City in the west, but not the main part of the storm. You'll pick up some pickups on some of the outer effects of this, but the main brunt will go east of you. Check out more details at KENDALLAND.com.